Hi, I'm here with Edward Whitehouse from CMG Mortgage. In the past, we've done a interview on gift funds so home borrowers can understand how gift funds work. But when we were doing that interview, he had mentioned an interesting program that caught my attention, and it's called the HomeFundIt Program. So I wanted to go into deeper detail about what this program is about and what it means to home borrowers. So welcome, Ed. How are you today?
Hi, Kevin. I'm doing great. Happy New Year to you. How are you?
Good. Same to you. Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year. And let's hope for a good year based after last year.
That's right. I know we never know what to expect anymore. There's definitely no crystal ball here, but hey, I'm happy, hopefully happy and healthy. That's always the key, and that's the important thing. So, yeah, but thank you for having me on your podcast again. Happy, really psyched to talk more about the Home Funded program and about gifting, receiving gifts for down payment.
Let's start with just a basic question. What are gift funds and what does it kind of mean to a borrower who's looking for a mortgage?
So gift funds, as a lender, we're always looking at where sources for a down payment, covering down payment closing costs are coming from. The fortunate people may have that already in savings, in an investment account of their own. However, as nowadays with so many different types of programs and being conventional FHA, there's very much a lot of low down payment requirements now. Being a first time home buyer, they can actually buy as little as 3% down. And for FHA, 3.5% down. If you're a veteran, 0% down. But however, there is still closing costs assessed. And, that's still a lot of money when we're talking about, especially for a first time home buyer. So we always need to know, okay, so where's that down payment source coming from? Also, your closing costs is a completely different number.
Let's start by asking you what are gift funds and what does it mean to a borrower?
Sure. So for gift funds, essentially it's a source that can be used to help cover some closing costs, down payment, depending on what loan program we're looking at. So for a first time home buyer, there's plenty of different options. And they're actually low down payment requirements nowadays for a first time home buyer, minimum of 3% down. But however, there's still closing costs too, which depending on what state you're looking at, especially in Massachusetts, it could be anywhere from 3 to 5% on top of what your down payment is. So we're still looking at a sizable amount of funds needed to buy a house.
Yeah.
So for a gift, receiving a gift from a family member or a close friend, relative, this can actually help bridge the gap of what that borrower might have saved up to help cover their down payment closing costs. It's really something that can be looked at to really kind of help bridge the gap and allow them to go and buy that home sooner rather than having to wait to save and wait more time in the market.
Okay. So I think we should probably say that, gift funds, when a bank looks at gift funds, they're very strict about where they come from and documenting it. And traditionally, when you're looking at gift funds, you got to be very careful how that money flows into your bank account. Am I correct in saying that, Ed?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it really depends on the time frame of when that borrower is expecting to be receiving those gift funds. If it's been in their account longer than 60 days, generally as a lender or a bank, we don't necessarily need as much documentation needed
Okay.
versus if it isn't within that 60-day window of when they're looking to close. There's definitely going to be more documentation needed. There's going to be that donor is going to have to need sign a gift letter. And also we're most likely going to need a transaction history statement and a 30-day statement of that donor's bank account information, just to make sure those are seasoned funds that that borrower is receiving from the donor.
And traditionally, gift funds really needed to be from family members in a traditional loan program where I know I've seen friends and employers use before, but that a special exception really needs to be made in that case.
Exactly. It really
Okay.
depends on the loan program. Conventional is a little bit more, it would most likely be a family member. I mean, it could also be like an aunt and uncle, that would be fine. A cousin, as long as there's some kind of family relationship there.
Okay.
However, and what you had mentioned too, with an employer, those are actually acceptable with an FHA loan.
Okay.
Mhm.
So why don't we jump into the HomeFundIt program, which is really meant to accumulate gift funds and kind of get rid of some of the maybe documentation that goes along with it. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely is. It's a great source to. It's a great program to look at. Meaning, like HomeFundIt was designed to make it easier, make this process easier. Because so I work at CMG, and so CMG stands for Christopher Matthew George. He actually he pioneered this, and we kind of look at CMG as solutionists. What kind of obstacles are our clients facing, and how can we make it easier?
Yeah, I
So
mean, down payments and closing costs can be a big obstacle right now, with house prices, median house price hitting
yeah,
550, 600, and even more in some areas.
yeah.
I know in Haverhill, it's just under 550. So that's 15,000, but figure another 10 to 12 in closing costs. You're
Exactly.
talking about almost $30,000. So
Yep.
what really caught my attention about this program was how it could be used. I mean, I was thinking like, this is great for married couples. Instead of getting a gift, they could actually fund their gift funds to purchase a home through this. And I think from what you said before, it's really not limited to family. Anybody can help fund this, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. This really became very popular with weddings and graduations because nowadays, especially for weddings, things have really kind of changed. And a lot of the couples might already have the essentials of what they need to get their life started. They just would really like to have propel, their the time it would take to buy a home. And
Yeah, and I,
this
I think part of it's the demographic. People are getting married later in life, and you have a couple coming together, and they probably own their maybe not own, but they're renting separately. They've
yeah,
already lived separately on their own, and like you said, they have the salad spinner and the
and the toaster.
whatever
Yeah,
traditional wedding gifts are, and really they're just coming together. They have the furniture they need. They have everything they need. It's really their desire usually is to buy a house as soon as possible. And this is a great way to fund it. So why don't you talk specifically about HomeFundIt and how it works?
so it's an online down payment gifting platform. Anyone can use it. It's free to use. And basically, as you mentioned, it's become very popular for big occasions because they definitely, why not look at it and really help propel the amount of time it takes to buy that home. And what you had mentioned prior, it's not just restricted to family members, friends, strangers. It's really one of those things that's kind of looked at as like a crowdsourcing platform, but it's really geared towards housing. And at CMG, we try to make this easier and really something that very accessible for anyone to be able to use, and not needing that. What I mentioned prior, a gift letter is not needed for this because using this platform has the history showing who the donor is. They can donate with a debit card, credit card. It doesn't have to be from a bank account. It's actually super easy, making it an electronic down payment gift, easily to source without needing the gift letter, bank statements from the donors. It makes it a lot more streamlined.
So basically, if the funds go into the HomeFundIt account, that's the documentation that's necessary.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing else
Okay.
needed. We wouldn't need to source any kind of bank statement from a donor. The donors are capped at $5,000 per gift. So there's that right there. So if they're
So
looking,
could the donor give more than one gift?
so they're capped at 5K. That's once
Okay.
they reach
Okay.
that 5K
Okay.
gift, that's the most that they can gift using the HomeFundIt platform. They can gift obviously the traditional way if they need to gift more. But generally, so that's why this is looked at more for as multiple gifts from people, because 5K,
Correct.
5K, that can add up and really kind of help with that part. But for your traditional mom and dad gift, if they're looking to gift more, they're capped at K. So they can still use this and then do the traditional route
Okay.
to bridge the gap if needed.
So say you have the HomeFundIt account. Say you have a wedding, you get 8,000 put in, and mom and dad gifted money through that. But you could also gift in the traditional way as well in combination.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So what what a great thing about HomeFundIt is CMG actually gives a 2-to-1 match. It caps at 2K. So it's essentially a first time home buyer grant that we give on top of using this program. So 2-to-1 match up to $2,000. So I mean, it almost
$2,000 total or per person?
$2,000 from CMG. That would be our
So say you got $5,000 into a HomeFundIt account. CMG would cap it at 2,000 as the match.
Exactly. So
Okay.
that brings the 5,000 from that gift to $7,000.
That's great.
Yeah. So I mean, that's also encouraging too. Use this program and really get that as a first time home buyer grant to add on top of what they get from family and friends. Like, if they're getting if they put this in as like their in substitution for their wedding registry, they're getting $50 per guest, and they have 100 guests at the wedding. That's $5,000 right there from their guests. Plus, we're giving the 2-to-1 match up to $2K, so that's $7K right there. That is helping going towards their down payment.
Yeah, I mean that's a good chunk of change going towards a down payment, and some larger weddings there definitely could be way more in gift funds.
Exactly, and we actually have a HomeFundIt manager here who she actually helps give some creative ideas to couples on how they can best use this. And essentially, we've seen some creative ideas where they'll put the QR code that goes to their campaign, and they'll put it at the bars at the wedding. They'll put it at the tables at the wedding, gift table. So like people can quickly on their phone, if they're at the bar, they see this, and throw $5-10 here or there, per person. Like you said, it does add up, and it helps really kind of it really kind of helps with that one piece with how long it could take for a person to save up for that wedding. So it's just it's an alternative way to really kind of look at down payment gifting, and we try to make it easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we touched upon this already about who this is for, but let's just delve a little deeper into it. We talked about couples getting married who may already have everything they need in their desire is to own a home. But then you have, let's talk about college graduates coming out that can land a decent job. They just haven't saved a lot of money. And, one of the things that I like to tell younger home buyers who might not have a house on their radar, but it's kind of in the back of their mind, just getting into the market is huge, rather than waiting 10 years. It might not be your first place, might be, a small 2-bedroom condo, but maybe you could rent out the bedroom for a few years until your income climbs. But, if you get into the market early, I mean, just for an example, I had a younger client who, was in his mid-20s, and he really just scraped together to buy his first home. He had the ability to do some work on the house, which he totally renovated the house, but he went from a small purchase of, the mid 300s. And today, just a few years later, with $40,000 worth of renovations, his house is worth well over 500, at 25 years old versus waiting another 10 years. He's already tapped into the whole goal of owning the house. It beats inflation, and you can stay ahead of inflation. And the sooner you can start that, the better off you're going to be down the road. So graduates are a great opportunity for them to get a down payment. And again, you don't have to buy your end all be all home, but it gets you into the market.
For sure. And I think a lot of people might not realize how close they are to being able to buy a home, especially after graduating. Actually, graduates, if they line up work that's in the same field of their study, we can use their school transcripts as their work history for the last 2 years. So they're good to go,
Correct.
So that we always try to really let college kids know, hey, let's explore this. Let's at least, get the education and put yourself in a spot where you can do this sooner and really develop that wealth, like you mentioned, because as we know, owning a home is, especially at a younger age, can really set them up for the rest of their lives with the wealth and creating that for themselves.
Yeah, so those are two great opportunities to take advantage of this program. But do you have any other things that you have seen that has worked well?
So, I mean, it's one of those things where I know when we're looking at these small gifts, and I know it's something small coming from mom and dad, whether it's just $1,000, $2,000, I'll definitely recommend this program because they're getting that 2-to-1 match from us. It only takes $1,000 from mom and dad or from a friend or family to get $2K from us. So why not take that?
So that's a great point. I mean, if it's getting matched up to $2,000, why not use it?
We're doing a 2-to-1 match. So 1,000 from a gift gets 2,000 from us. So I
Oh,
mean,
okay, 2 to
why
1.
not?
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's where I see it become very popular too, because like, hey, you know what? That just helped pay for some of your title fees right there, some of your recording fees, or really kind of maybe funded some of your escrow account right there for closing costs. Just a little bit helps everybody right now, and how expensive it is to buy a home. Just every couple thousand helps.
So basically, so a website is set up for that person or couple or whoever's buying, and it's just someone just logs in and makes the donation.
Exactly. The couple or whoever wants to set up their HomeFundIt account, they go on, they can create a free campaign, and then they'll have this link that they can go out and send to family, friends, anyone. They can share it on social media. They actually they'll get some money towards their HomeFundIt per share on social media too. So it's not just getting the gifts from family and friends. If they do social media shares, sharing this program, sharing their campaign, they get a little bit of contribution each time going to their account.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that's one of those things where like they can really be able to do this very easily and comfortably from their own home, and think of some creative ways to really and I think the most successful campaigns are really all about their story, because they are able on their campaign share their story on what they want to do, why home ownership means so much to them, and so I think that's right there. Sharing that on their campaign goes a long way for family and friends, and people that like really can connect with that and really try to
Yeah.
help, even if it's just $10, $15 here, like on social media from some high school friends like that. That's
Well,
so
I know in the past I've seen there's certain communities where when someone wants to buy a home, they get together and they all chip in a few $100 um, to go towards the down payment.
yeah,
So it's kind of like doing the same thing. You're reaching out to your community saying, "Hey, I want to buy a home," and whether it's $10, $100, or $500, it all adds up.
that's right. Yep. So I mean that's really the key. Successful campaigns is all about sharing their story, and we try to make it easy where they can share it across social, email it out, just very easily be able to do that, and spread the word.
So we talked about the campaign. So basically, like a little landing page where people can sign in and participate. Correct?
Yes,
And
correct.
then you talked about you have someone at CMG that actually helps people come up with creative ideas to help fund this.
Exactly. Yep.
Are
Marie,
there any
she's
other resources people should know about?
so I mean, if they can, there's plenty on YouTube too where they can learn more about this program. I say, reach out to myself, reach out to you, Kevin, because I think it's all about really kind of spreading the word on this and educating home buyers. And that
Mhm.
could be, again, that can be a realtor, that could be myself as the lender. Really, just letting them know about all these different options and see if would be a good fit for them. As long as they're aware of it, that's the key thing, and that's why it's great that you're sharing this across on this podcast today. Really, if this can make a difference in someone's life right here and help them buy a home sooner, then mission accomplished.
Yeah, no, I was when we had talked generally about gift funds, this program had caught my attention and I thought it should be highlighted. So I guess my last question, say you fund a few $1,000s into your home funded program, but you'd never end up buying a home. What happens to that money?
So this money goes into a holding account. It's that borrower's money, so they can withdraw at any time. It's a simple email request. Hey, I want this wired sent over to me
Okay.
today, and they can close out the account. They wouldn't obviously get that 2-to-1 match. That $2,000 grant is only if they close on a home with CMG.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's liquid funds that they can pull anytime if they need it.
Okay. So that's great, Ed. I
Mhm.
think that's some good information that people can use and hopefully they'll participate in the program if they're looking to buy. It really doesn't matter if you're a first time home buyer or you're moving up into your second home. This might be a program that you might want to look at. Uh,
Totally. I mean,
so
I say in order to start, reach out to you, Kevin, because you can definitely
yeah.
really kind of get the conversation started, let them know, and connect us, and we'll get them started for sure. Or at least get the information their way.
Yeah. So I'll have a link down below that people can check out and see what's going on. But Ed, I want to thank you. I think this is a great program. And like you said, even if a parent is gifting you $500, you can turn that into $1,500. It's just, if you're using gift funds at all, great way to go. If you haven't thought about using gift funds, I mean, I see this as an awesome opportunity for people getting married who, like we said, have everything they need and they just want to buy a house. I mean, you could probably come close with some weddings to pretty much funding your down payment for your first home.
That's right. I mean, we definitely have some success stories on our site, HomeFundIt too. So I definitely encourage to everyone check out that link, because we have videos and testimonials of couples that have successfully been able to use this to buy a home.
Okay, well, thank you, Ed. And at this point, we'll end, but hopefully we'll see you again in the future.